program helps our visibility with Microsoft sellers, which in turn helps us when we're introduced to new partners.
It has accelerated our entrance into new markets, and our product is developing with higher quality and at higher speed than it would otherwise have.
Things like ISV licensing, handling our licenses just like any Microsoft first-party applications. We see that as a big benefit.
What ISV Connect program introduced is very different level of confidence with our customer. And with the Microsoft expanding the program, we are expecting to grow our ISV portfolio significantly.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much again for spending the time on watching another installment of ISV Connect Live. You might see familiar faces here. It's an honor and pleasure to welcome back the CEO and CFO of Solgari. You might recall we had them on ISV Connect Live a little over a year ago, back in March. And we wanted to bring them back on because there's a lot of amazing innovation that they've done since then, and they can report back as to all that great stuff that they're doing to the ecosystem. But before we get to John and Ed, let me give everyone who maybe are coming across this for the first time. So thank you so much again for investing. You're going to see that we have an opportunity to engage in the conversation. So we'd love, as we kind of kick this off, and let me put this in the streaming site. We'd love to actually have you comment where you're watching from. So if you're watching from the European region, maybe Ireland, where John and Ed are taking this call. Maybe you're somewhere in the US like myself, actually taking it for the West Coast, 8 o'clock in the morning in Seattle, or somewhere in between. We'd love to hear where you're watching from. So if you want to do that, put that in the LinkedIn comments, and then we'll sort of set up throughout the dialogue to just kind of celebrate each of you joining. Also, if you have a question, we usually have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. And so if you actually want to ask a question live, feel free to also put that into the LinkedIn comments window, and I'll flash that up to actually address specific questions. And then finally, if you want to use one of the emojicons during the conversation, the like, support, celebrate, etc., that gives John, Ed, and myself insight into actually is the commentary resonating. There's just something that's really unique or interesting that we're talking about that may be resonating with you. So with that being said, welcome John and Ed again to the LinkedIn Live stage. Maybe you can talk about a couple things. One is what do each of you do? And then we'll get into the great business outcomes that Solgari provides. So maybe, Ed, we can start with you, and then John, we'll go to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brian. So a quick introduction. I'm co-founder with John of Solgari, my role as CFO, and I concentrate heavily on the commercial partnership with Microsoft, Brian, as you know, and also driving our co-sell. And also a key factor that I play a role in is our partner-to-partner strategy, so engaging with both ISV and SI partners in business applications, so for Dynamics 365, and now also for Modern Workplace as well, which we'll also talk about in this call. So that's the general thrust of what I'm involved in within the business.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ed. Yeah, it's been one of those great things between you and John. We have had conversations since the very, very, very beginning, so truly appreciate that. John, we'll go to you, and then before we talk about what Solgari does, I want to give a quick shout out because we actually have quite a number of people from all over the world commenting on where they're watching from. So that's great that we have an international audience. Go ahead, John.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Brian. So I'm founder and CEO of Solgari, concentrating very heavily on our strategy and where we play and where we move forward to play, complementing the Microsoft ecosystem and all the products within that, which we've managed to do successfully thus far. And we think we're about to enter into a new phase of really exciting and innovative complement to the Microsoft offers, across modern Teams, Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, and now Azure.
I love it, John. And yeah, we're going to get into that much more detail because I think Solgari is just a great example of how you came into the Microsoft ecosystem as a BizApps aligned partner, but you've grown into now maximizing all the ability to utilize the Microsoft cloud across not just BizApps, but across Azure and also Teams, which we'll get into. So let me do a quick shout out to everyone joining. So Vincent, gosh, thank you so much. We actually have quite a number of people from Ireland, which is not surprising since that's where you guys are also based. Aaron Marcelli, of course, from Redmond. Jason, thank you so much from the East Coast of the US in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Someone from Johannesburg. So thanks, Sean. Fantastic that we have someone from South Africa. Joe from the Netherlands. Thank you so much. Not too far away. Adeje Boyega. I apologize. I'm probably not pronouncing your name correctly. So thank you for watching from Africa. It's amazing. Another person from Africa, Nigeria, Portugal. So thanks, Leah from Portugal, Lisbon, or Lisbon, Portugal, actually. Gavin, another person from South Africa. Wow. I don't think I've seen that many South Africans or people from Africa before on these calls, on this LinkedIn Live, and that's fantastic. Trevor from Dublin, thank you so much. Agatha or Agathy, thank you so much for Dublin. Let's go through. This is great. Luis, Canada. Connor from Dublin. Paul from UK, thank you. Another person from Dublin, John. Linda, thank you. I know where you're from. You're watching from the UK, and then we'll do one final one. Mark from Amsterdam, Netherlands. So again, what an amazing international audience, and it just kind of goes to the fact, John and Ed, that this is an interesting topic that we have so many people actually commenting on where they're watching from. So talk about, from both of your perspectives, the outcomes that Solgari provides, because I think what you provide is a pretty amazing scenario that really complements the Microsoft Cloud and really provides really amazing end customer business outcomes. So John, we'll start with you, and then we can get your perspective as well.
Yeah, I mean, what we're playing on are, the cornerstones for our service is, the Microsoft cornerstone. So, we're Azure based, and we're deeply integrated with Dynamics and have been for quite a long time. So the whole Dynamics and Power Platform are something we have been deeply integrated with, and we've got lots of customer success in that arena. And we've extended that out now to have a deep integration with Teams. And what we're about is ultimately it's about excellence in customer service. While we have a horizontal play as a core, we have really focused on bringing industry specific capabilities in on top of that. So, if you take the Microsoft platforms that we're based on, and then what we have is, an all channel, including social media, full contact center and cloud telephony integrated capability, with full compliance, automatic compliance in there, all based on top of the Azure platform, integrated with Dynamics 365 and Teams. And so what it means is that, you can offer the agent the same capability as the end user demands and expects. They can have all of the channels, they can flip between channels, knowing that all the data is still integrated. And so in order to best serve customers, they have access to all previous exchanges, irrespective of the channel. They can see them there and then live. Your chance of getting first call resolution goes through the roof. So having full integrated data in real time at that point inside whatever interface you're working through, whether it's Dynamics in an iframe, you've got Solgari, or whether it's Teams, and we've got Solgari within Teams, and we're bringing all the channels and all the contact center functionality in there. So, for example, in a world where the modern workplace world, where you're just a Teams customer, you now can have Teams as your endpoint for all of your agents or customer service people, because all the channels and all the functionality is in there. Same happens when you're in Dynamics. And if you've got both, we're sitting there in between both of those platforms, sitting on top of Azure with full integration, offering all the contact center and all of the channels, including social media. So it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly enabling for the agent. And then we've got a layer of automation on top of that for self-service that focuses on very specific industries. So healthcare, we've got significant healthcare layers. We've got manufacturing and distribution. So for ordering, reordering, for scheduling, deliveries, rescheduling, all of that is fully automatic and self-service over multiple channels. Full automatic outbound, bulk outbound across multiple channels. So enabling really efficient contact center capability across all the channels for the company to increase remote channel throughput, and for the agent to be fully served in terms of real-time data in giving best possible service.
Gosh, well said, John. There's so much to unpack there. I mean, I think that's just what the first line you said is like providing the best customer experience, because regardless of whatever type of agent you are, whether you're customer service or sales or in a call center, how do you provide that potentially first call resolution, or how do you provide that interactivity and seeing that, to your point, all that information up front to give that agent all that information to triage or have a conversation. So Ed, anything to add to that before we go into more details with the next question?
I'd mention as well, Brian, that we're very focused on listening to our customers and our prospects and our partners on their use cases. So we've got heavy demand in a number of industries. So in financial services, for example, when you're talking about the B2C space, it's the ability to, as John mentioned, offer an automation layer. So no agent involved, for example, to make an inquiry around a product, for example, but then switching from that to an agent-based communication, which again can be across any channel. So it could be voice, it could be SMS, it could be WhatsApp, which we're releasing, it could be Facebook Messenger, and we'll talk about Asia Pacific as well, about Line and about WeChat as well. So the ability to mix the automation layer, which is first quarter resolution, and a superior customer outcome and service experience, to switching into live agent rapidly across the channel of choice. So within B2C, Brian, financial services, that is everywhere. So that's a big use case that we're very focused on. And again, business apps they're multiple apps. So we got Teams, we got Dynamics 365. We can handle both scenarios in both Teams and Dynamics 365. And of course, they're integrated as well. The other one I'd mention maybe as well is healthcare. So the ability to do patient outreach or family outreach. So we're doing this today in the United States and in Europe as well. Again, from whichever destination or whatever app you might be using. That's another very large use case we're seeing. In manufacturing, for example, use cases that we're seeing are on the post-sales scenario, much more efficient customer care and service. So again, an automation layer, maybe to raise a ticket and then switch the ticket to a live agent communication, depending on the priority of the requirement the customer might have after a sale of a piece of equipment. So there's some examples of financial services, healthcare, manufacturing, and non-profit. Give you some examples there as well, retail. So very focused, Brian, on making sure that what John described to you there about how we're using the Microsoft Cloud, the 3-cloud strategy, to deliver this application that will really make it speak into the user experience.
Yeah, I love it. And you touched on so many things between you and John. And I think the industry conversation, I think, is going to be fantastic when we get to the question of like the customer examples. But I think the other component is that, as you were talking, is the ability to scale this up fairly quickly across any type of omni-channel experience. But when you think about agents and having the complexity of integration and all that stuff, you guys take care of all that, which I think is amazing value proposition, especially in the world of what we went through with the pandemic, of saying, how do we put a call center up pretty quick anywhere around the world where people can work from home, people can work in a facility, or do the combination of both, all without the heavy expense of CapEx, especially I'm sure from your standpoint, when you think about OpEx versus CapEx, being able to scale agents up and down and scale fairly quickly without having to figure out, okay, can I do it? Can I do all these things then without having to invest a whole bunch of capital infrastructure to go do it? So maybe you guys could talk about, and you guys touched upon it, what's changed since we last talked in March? I mean, I think we should all celebrate, I mean, this Teams integration that you did, and maybe Ed and John, you can comment, like, as you're listening and from customers, but also working with us, what's been that evolution from a year ago since we last spoke back in March of 2021, and the innovation that you've really continued to provide to the end customers that we both have on the Microsoft Cloud? So maybe, Ed, since we're on you, maybe you can provide a little commentary on, again, the innovations that have occurred over the past year, and then John, we can go back to you.
Sure, yeah. So Brian, one of the key things that we did was we recognized speed to value and the business buyer looking for fast outcomes rather than long implementation projects. And the pandemic brought that to the surface very clearly, that applications can be stood up very rapidly in a needs must situation. So that should be the case in general. So we've recognized that, and our ability to do that has been clear cut during the pandemic. So one of the things that we've done the last year was that we focused on delivering our entire application from Azure. So this means that for example, from today, we are available from Canberra in Australia. We're available in the UK, Amsterdam, US Central, and next locations that are going up are New Zealand, Singapore, and Canada, based on demand within those regions, within those countries. And this opens up a number of things for us. So we're using the full power of the Azure cloud. We are meeting local compliance and regulation requirements, where obviously it's helping us in terms of our integration with Microsoft, with more to come around Azure communication services and areas like cognitive services as well, Brian. So the whole AI area, sentiment analysis, being on Azure, or having our core application or core IP in Azure is opening up some fantastic technology collaboration opportunities between Solgari and Microsoft that are going to help our customers. So looking forward to going further down that. So that was it. We made a really big effort to move everything onto Azure, and that's happened today. So in terms of our ability to stand up applications very rapidly, we can do it anywhere in the world, and literally we can do it same day. So for example, it's very important in the Teams world, in the modern workplace world, that we can, SMB type customers, Brian, that they have a Teams app and they want to stand up an all-channel communications solution on top of it. It's very important they can do that same day. So we can do that. That's one area I'd mention. And then obviously as well, our work on Teams and understanding what customers were looking to do within Teams, which has been unlimited, by the way. So customers trying to push Teams to do lots of different things. And of course, this is why Microsoft want to partner, Brian, with ISVs like ourselves, that we can make those type of scenarios that John and I were discussing happen. So big push onto Teams, starting with listening to the customer. Obviously, then we work very closely, Brian, as you know, with Irina and Jason and the technical team in terms of putting the application together. And now it's in production now. Actually, version 1.0 is out this week with initial customers and partners already on it. So they've been a key focus for us. But all along, listening to the customer, listening to the requirements, listening to the key for speed to value and stand up applications rapidly to deliver the type of use cases that we discussed.
That's so fantastic, Ed. And I love how, again, the investments you're making in standing up the ability to go very quickly, especially in the markets that you're in, because of the sensitivity sometimes of just data moving back and forth. And when you can have it in the local market and that really available, to your point, within potentially 24 hours, that's a very powerful statement. So John, maybe we can go to you and maybe you can, again, provide your...
Yeah, I mean, I suppose to complement what Ed has said, we've really focused an awful lot on how we do things and the processes that we deploy. And so an example of that internally for our own efficiency is we can stand up a new Azure instance in 90 minutes from scratch. So the full functional Solgari platform working on a new Azure platform 1.5 hours later, which is pretty phenomenal. But the reason that I quote that is because we've taken that across the board internally and externally. And so standing up a new customer really quickly is important, but standing them up in the right way is more important. And so standing them up with a load of products that interact with each other is one thing. But what we're doing is we've done all the integration with all the channels and all the functionality and all of the Microsoft products, the CRM, the Teams, etc., Power Platform in advance, so that what you're getting is a fully integrated suite, not a bunch of interacting capabilities or products. And the difference there is that our data in real time is absolutely accurate, and it's comprehensive, it's complete across all the channels and all the functionality. And that has come to the fore more because what we're starting to see now is the use of artificial intelligence and analytics to really bring power into the arm of the agent or the seller, etc. And one of the beautiful things in our that I keep observing when we look at our team's capability is it's not just about being able to see all the channels that you have active and the number of interactions you have and answer across each channel, and the cross-channel interactivity is fantastic, and multi-session handling. So you can be answering somebody in WhatsApp and flick into answering somebody else in line or SMS within the team's infrastructure, but interface. But on top of that, it's when you look at the agent can look at their own performance, and the supervisor can look across the performance of all of their team, or you can look across it fully as a full unit. But when the agent looks at it, they'll see all the hotspots and when they closed most tickets or made most sales or whatever KPIs matter to them, and they'll be able to see all of this stuff. So it's real-time data, and it's comprehensive, it's accurate, and it's full. So that's the difference in our approach, that we've done the hard work to pre-integrate all of this. And so we're not just popping it up quickly, we're popping up something quickly that can really answer to all of the deep strategic things that you want to achieve in terms of sales, customer service. You have the chance now to really increase customer satisfaction because you've got all the data there. So that's been a big change for us. We're also big changes for us is how we're deploying our product and how we're developing it, and the rapidity of how we're delivering out of our roadmap is to me is stunning. I'm in the software vendor side of the fence for over 35 years, and I've never seen anything like it. It's our developments and our roadmap, the concurrency on our roadmap is incredible. So we're able to listen to our customers and our partners, but we're not only just listening to them, we're able to respond to them extremely quickly in terms of new functionality. And that's fantastic. And of course, we're very lucky as well in that period that we've been dealing with some enterprise class customers, like very large scale customers. And thanks to the brilliance of teams like the NHS team in Wales that we're working with, and the brilliance of our own people, not only have we gone through our first 2 years and renewed that very large scale implementation beyond that, but we're now looking at fantastic ways to bring this joint capability with these two fantastic teams forward. And when you get that level of collaboration, that's so enriching for your product. And when you've started off from the right place of having an integrated base rather than patching products together,
absolutely,
we're in a very powerful place to move forward quickly on behalf of our customers and partners.
Absolutely, John. I mean, so great. And you touched upon some of the examples that's a good segue to the next question. And with 8 minutes left, I think that's going to be a good use of just kind of describing all this amazing impact that you had by listening to customers, and how is that impacting across healthcare or real estate or other places. But I think the other comment I want to make on the innovation and the things you're doing, not just from a technology perspective, speed to time to market, and Ed, you could probably test to this, is all the amazing P2P or partner to partner relationships that Solgari has also built with not just other ISVs, that of course, both of us will be in the same kickoff event, our customer event next week, because of the partnership you have with a global ISV in our team's portfolio. But the fact that SIs and the innovation that's happening there, I think, which is amazing what Solgari has done, because that's part of the experience in driving best customer outcomes, is just partnering with the right partners that actually can complement each other in to drive the right outcomes. So maybe you can talk about, again, some of the customer examples with the several minutes we have left, a few customer examples, and then we can get to a couple of call to actions of people who may be listening to live or maybe in a replay of what they can do. So maybe, John, we'll start with you, and then Ed, we'll go to you on maybe some of your favorite examples that you've seen since we last spoke in last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think to us, it's really important to have very close partnerships with systems integration partners, and we're extending that and expanding that all the time. And let's face it, they're the people who are closest to the customer needs. They're in there doing and delivering the projects. They have a set of customers that they care intensely about, and that's the kind of energy that we are looking for in terms of guidance for our product and where it should be going, because that's the best input to the roadmap we can possibly have, and we take that source very, very seriously. And a lot of our systems integration partners that we're working with are actively know that they're participating in our next generation of product as we speak. So I think the ultimate statement about some of the stories that Ed and myself are going to give you now is that, you know, the very first one, in Asia, real estate company, we implemented it in one country, and very rapidly now it's been taken from that country and replicated across 3 or 4 more countries. And that to me is the ultimate statement, you know, I mean, where people take what you're doing and say, God, this is much better than what we had before, and they just want to replicate it everywhere and expand it everywhere. And experiences like being able to expand and contract and use the benefits of the platforms that Microsoft and Solgari offer together across the cloud to be able to do that is fantastic. So for seasonal type initiatives, you know, it's perfect as well. So, you know, there are lots and lots of examples. The couple that we sent through to you, real estate in Asia, and here a German-based real estate company that are experiencing both those benefits hugely already. And Ed can talk to the healthcare examples that we sent through.
Great. That's perfect, John. So Ed, maybe we can go to you, and maybe you can go into the healthcare scenarios to complement what John mentioned with the real estate organizations that we've jointly deployed.
Yeah. So, for example, in the United States, we have a very fast-growing Midwestern healthcare firm on Dynamics 365 for they have a sales module, and they're doing outbound wellness calls into Fortune 100 companies for employee wellness. So that's SMS and voice, and obviously it's compliant as well, Brian. It's HIPAA compliant, so to all delivered from Azure and US Central. So there's an example there. And then coming to Europe, another healthcare example. John mentioned NHS. We've worked with Microsoft and the NHS on COVID-19 contact tracing. Their program is called Test, Trace, and Protect, TTP. And we've worked extensively with the NHS on that, and very closely with Microsoft as well. So that was an application or a solution that we stood up very rapidly, obviously in difficult circumstances in terms of the humanitarian position at the time. The NHS needed to address that very quickly in terms of, this is 2 years ago, and that program continues onwards. And we're hopefully working with the NHS on lots of other use cases now as well about how we can bring this forward, and into other types of use cases around the use of Teams, both internal and for external type use cases, and that I sort of mentioned as well. I'll also mention as well that within our customer base, we got both Dynamics users and Teams users, and now they're trying to see, customers are trying to see how they can bring that together. So they may want to, for example, use Teams as an application that could be either regional or a global single communications endpoint, but also have it working with Dynamics 365. So you got case management inside Teams, Dynamics 365 case management inside Teams, but using Teams for all the different communications that you might need to do with customers across different channels, as John was mentioning. So we're seeing a lot of demand for that. And that's an area that we've focused on in terms of our team strategy and our team's R&D, whereby we can write the communication, whether it's a chat type communication, WhatsApp or Facebook or SMS or Line, for example, or WeChat, which we think is very interesting for Asia Pacific. So you're communicating, of course, voice as well, communicating across these channels, inbound, outbound, but you can write the communication into the Dynamics 365 case management side Teams. You got widespread demand for that use case. So that's an area that we're going to bring forward into customers this month. And, we got some customers, for example, John mentioned the real estate business in Germany, it's called Strabag, and they've got 40,000 users on Teams globally. So we're going to bring this application, to that user base, and it'll complement exactly what they're doing with Dynamics already. So we think that's a great strategy and use case in terms of where we're going. We're using the Microsoft 3 Cloud strategy, and we're going to deliver for that customer not just a Dynamics outbound sales capability, but the potential actually to use Teams for all the different communications with full integration with Dynamics. And that's really, really exciting for us to bring that forward.
I suppose one other thing I'd say, Brian, on top of that is that all of this is brilliant as long as it works. And the other thing that's come to the fore in the last 12 months is from our SMB to our enterprise customers, we're delivering 100% SLAs month on month on month. And we're delighted about that. And I talked earlier about working with great teams on the other side and referenced the NHS team. And that's a great enterprise case where, we're 100% SLAs is the power of the combination. And so we get the insights for the next generation of product, which is enriching, but on an operational level, operating at 100% SLAs month on month is what it's about. It's about delivering this brilliance consistently across large volumes, and multiple channels.
Absolutely. Now, what a great way to kind of close out the conversation. And before we get to kind of a call to action, John, is that, kind of unheard of to have that consistently out there, 100% SLA. It's like, that's what everyone's dream is, to make sure there is a zero or close to zero downtime. And you guys making that the very best, because we think about contact centers or call centers, that's absolutely necessity to just make sure that people can have conversations with people. So
and it's the power of the combination of the Microsoft platforms and the Solgari software functionality all in the cloud together. That's what's happened to deliver that.
That's great. So before we get to the video, about a minute video to give people a teaser of the amazing capabilities that have now just been released, what are some, just within less than a minute, quick call to actions, John and Ed, that you'd like to share with people watching or may come across the replay?
Yeah, so we're looking, Brian, to sign up more partners. So both SIs and ISVs. So as we discussed, not just BizApps partners, we're also looking for Modern Workplace partners now as well. So anyone interested in what we're doing and the solutions we're bringing forward, we'd love to hear from them. And you can go onto our website, you'll find the partner page there. That's certainly one area. And then, of course, anyone that has particular use cases, not even what we discussed on this call, Brian, anything else that they'd like to bring forward to us for review or how we can help them, always willing to look at it. And we're very innovative, we're very flexible, we're fast moving. So it's an open door. So please reach out if there's anything there you think we can help with.
Okay. Any final comments, John? For me?
No, just thanks for having us, Brian. It's always a pleasure. And we look forward to seeing you next week at the ISV event.
Yeah, sounds good. So quick wrap up for everyone. Thank you again for watching another ISV Connect Live. Here's a quick link if you want to screenshot this and go to the site later. This actually goes to the new listing in AppSource for what Solgari has provided with Teams. And really quick shout out. Thanks, Jason. You'd be appreciative, John and Ed. It's been a blast working Solgari team. Excited for what's next. So again, couldn't say it much better than what Jason said. Thank you so much, everybody, for spending the time this morning. Thank you, John and Ed, for such an amazing partnership, continuing to look forward to the joint success. And everyone else, continue to be well, be safe, and enjoy this short minute video. Thank you. Thanks again, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, Rod.
Here at Solgari, we're delighted to share this preview of our upcoming Converse contact center solution for Microsoft Teams. Enabling agents to perform customer service, sales, and marketing via Teams across voice, SMS, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger from anywhere. Developed in response to real business need, enabling lightning fast speed to value and realizing tangible benefits. Equipping agents and supervisors with the tools, channels, and reporting to deliver exceptional customer experiences across all key industry verticals. Handle multiple sessions within and across all channels. Historic interactions listed chronologically for actionable customer context. With conversations logged for supervisor review and much more that we'll be sharing with you in the coming weeks. Thanks for watching. Contact us today to learn more about the preview.